Hello and welcome to another edition of Adam's Music Box. It seems we've lost another great guitarist. John Sykes has died, and his legacy is one that I think in time people will remember more and more as one that was pivotal in creating a sound that transformed hard rock into a sort of album-based, very male-oriented genre, into something that all of the pop world, male and female, young and middle-aged, everyone sort of embraced. Now, one of the first major bands that John was involved in is a band that really ought to get more recognition, and these are called the Tigers. Tigers spelled with the Y's, and Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. Very much a lot of the Blake going on. The Tigers of Pantang, wonderful band, melodic hard rock, wonderful writing, wonderful guitar playing. Great stuff. And then John probably gained even more notoriety by joining a band with an ever revolving door of guitar players. Gary Moore, probably the most famous, but John Sykes was another who joined Thin Lizzy and helped them through their 1980s period. But it was the band he joined next that would, in many ways, define his musical legacy to the world. This is when he teamed up with Whitesnake in 1984, and it was something of an ignominious beginning because he was asked to re record some of the existing guitar parts on a really good album called Slide It In. This was supposed to be Whitesnake's sort of breakthrough. Because while all of the Whitesnake albums sold respectably well, they were really doing well in Japan, they were doing well in Europe, they were having some trouble trying to break into the US. And that's really where John's story comes into it. Because David Coverdale, who founded Whitesnake, it was his band. He wanted to just break up the band and end it for good in around 1986. But he was persuaded to work with John to write new music and develop a sort of new attitude for the band, a kind of Whitesnake 2.0. And the result was the self-titled 1987 album that I think could be called the most successful pop-oriented hard rock album of all time. This was an album that was absolutely made for US FM radio in the 1980s. But it was, of course, a smash hit worldwide. And so many songs on this album were just, they were single material, and all of them were either co written or co arranged with David Coverdale and with John Sykes. I mean, look at the hits. There was the 1987 version of Crying in the Rain, Still of the Night, one of the best hard rock songs ever. Is This Love, one of the most important hard rock ballads of the 80s, the 1987 arrangement of Here I Go Again, which is the one that really came to be the defining song for the group. Sadly, all good things must end, and Coverdale and Sykes parted in a rather acrimonious way, but undeterred, he formed a heavy metal supergroup called Blue Murder, and this featured the great Vanilla Fudge drummer, and he's drummed with everyone, Carmine Appice, and it also featured one of my very favorite bass players, Tony Franklin, the fretless wonder who played for The Firm, a supergroup in their own right, featuring Paul Rodgers of Free and Bad Company, Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin, and Chris Slade of Manfred Mann, and later AC/DC. So the pedigree, if you will, of Blue Murder was wonderful, and their albums are considered, they're a band that are liked by a lot of people through their comparatively short career. But it was really that 87 Whitesnake album that John put his imprint on. It was really a collaborative project between two musicians, David Coverdale and John. And in sad Spinal Tap fashion, they didn't end up reconciling. But there you go. Another great died at the comparatively young age of 65. I believe that's the same age Eddie Van Halen died, but we'll always remember the music. And indeed, that album changed music. It was one of those albums that just went up and it stayed up. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.